Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we are back again with another alternative of another Louis Vuitton fragrance. All about it in this today's video, where we are going to review a fragrance from the house of Fragrance World called L'InFinite or L'InFinite from Jacques Yves from the house of Fragrance World. Okay, so this is a review of this particular fragrance today. I've done the first impressions already, so let's get going. You're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's start right after this intro. Alright, welcome back, and today I have this particular fragrance called as L'InFinite Jacques Yves from the house of Fragrance World. The bottle looks really nice, very heavy, very beautiful, simple glass type of a bottle. However, the cap is black and metal types, but it's not actually, it's just a plastic. Unlike Soaked Sun, it doesn't have a magnetic part of it, so it's okay, right? So pretty good bottle, but pretty heavy. And the box is like this, which has got some amount of the artwork, or you can say emblems that represent the Louis Vuitton type of artwork. So that's the kind of box. This is basic paperwork type of a box. Basically at the back some Fragrance World information, and here it just talks about Jacques Yves and L'InFinite. All right. So what is this? So this is a citrusy fragrance by definition. So it's a citrusy fragrance that's got aromatic vibes, and it's also got musky vibes. It's got a little bit of woody element, ambroxan, that kind of a scent profile. That's a good way of defining this particular fragrance. But although when you think about the fragrance, and when you kind of put on a couple of sprays, let's do this. And the sprayer is pretty good as well. So let me do a couple of sprays very nicely. Very nice, right? So right at the top you get a very nice opening of bergamot, orange, citrusy element. Okay, so very nice, along with a little bit of ginger. And then the fragrance also has got sea notes. Then it's got a sage, it's got geranium, those greeny elements. And then at the base there is amber, there is ambroxan mostly, and a little bit of that woody elements kind of a note profile. That's the predominant signature of this particular scent, right? Now you really get a nice good freshness. You get a light hint of sweetness along with a citrusy element right at the top, and followed by a little bit of those clair sage, geranium, labdanum vibes that you kind of get. A little bit of that not floral, you would get mostly green herbaceous type of a vibe. And of course you get a little bit of that ambroxan and a little bit of that amber at the base. That's the type of a scent profile that you kind of get on this particular fragrance. You don't get a lot of very sharp citruses here. You get a very mellow version of citrus elements along with that green herbaceous vibes and the ambroxan. Right now this particular fragrance opens up this way for about 30 to 40 minutes time. This is what you kind of get. After that it starts to go down a little bit, and then when it starts to go down you kind of get light elements of watery hints, I would say, and then more of that fragrance going down and becoming a little more softer skin close around the 4.5 hour mark. Okay, so that is the journey of this particular fragrance. Right now, how is this different from Afternoon Swim? So Afternoon Swim, for example, if you think about that fragrance, it's more citrusy. Okay, it doesn't have any green herbaceous vibes as such, right? But here there's a little bit of that green herbaceous vibe. You get a little bit of that sweetness which is there. The ginger, I think, is a common note there as well. The ambroxan is very nice here. That is the beauty of this particular fragrance. It's very nice that way. This is also a soft kind of a scent. You will probably get about 1.5 to 2 feet of projection only. Now, one thing that I've realized with this particular fragrance is I got this about 2 weeks back, and when I first did my first impressions testing, I would say that the lasting was very low. But over the period of time, now it's about 2.5 weeks roughly, I would say that whenever I worn, the lasting has become more. Like today's testing, for example, when I've worn it like 3 times, or rather 3 different times of testing, I've easily felt that this particular fragrance is doing easily close to about 3.5-4 hours time. So I feel that over maceration this will do even more better. Okay, which is a good sign, because the fragrance is kind of smelling nice. You get a good freshness from the citrusy vibe, a nice summer fragrance, nice everyday fragrance, especially for somebody who wants a fragrance that will give you good citrusy element, but also because of the green notes that are there on this particular fragrance, along with a little bit of that ambroxan and amber, you get a very musky vibe, right? So basically Afternoon Swim is more of a citrus fragrance. Now here in L'InFinite you get more of citrusy, musky, green kind of a vibe, along with a bit of ambroxan and amber. So that is what you kind of predominantly get on this particular fragrance, right? So that is the scent profile, and that is the type of performance that you get on this particular bottle, which is called L'InFinite Jacques Yves from Fragrance World. Now this is an alt of Louis Vuitton's L'Immensity, and I have a small decant of it that I kind of got, about a year back, and luckily, this has come pretty handy, because for a long time I was thinking this is such a nice scent. I wish there was a good Middle Eastern all to it, that way, right? So I have done testing and I've compared this side by side, and I'll tell you what I kind of get. Now, in the Louis Vuitton, being Louis Vuitton, right at the top, you get a very sharp freshness of that sweetness of the citrusy element, along with a little more pronounced citrusy notes and a little bit more sweetness that you get right at the top. And that musky note is very sharp, cuts across very beautifully right at the opening. Now, this one, the OG, is pretty loud for the first 1 hour mark. That way you kind of get very nice elements of that musky vibe along with the citrusy vibe. But after about 20 minutes or so, there is no much difference between the two fragrances. Both of them feel alike. Okay. Now, one significant difference that I kind of felt between these two fragrances is especially on the the aquatic marine notes or the watery notes that is there on the OG. That is very well pronounced in the OG, which is missing in L'InFinite. Okay, now what happens is, the OG, after the first 45 minutes time or so, when it starts to move into the second part where you have the green notes like with the sage or with the geranium and labdanum, you also have the aquatic tone, and that's where you will kind of feel this particular fragrance opening up with those aquatic notes along with that ambroxan and all of that. So that way it feels very nice. I did put on a spray a few minutes back, so that watery part is very nice in Louis Vuitton after the first 1.5 mark, where it starts to go. It's very, very nice that way, which is definitely missing in L'InFinite. So that is one clear difference, right? Now, aside to that, in the air the fragrances kind of smell very alike to each other. I would say about 85 to 88% is the likeness to OG in terms of how close this comes to OG. Now, another part that I realized is, even this OG, though in the first hour it's pretty loud as such, after that, in terms of after the 3 or 4 hour mark, this is also pretty close to skin. It lasts for about 4.5 5 hours, I would say, but it's pretty skin close. It's not really very loud after that, right? So there also I felt these are alike. Now, aside to the OG, I also looked at one other Indian alt that was there on this particular list. So I had Chakra from Centedelic, which is also an alt of the L'Immensity. Now, one here, when we talk about this and the Infinity from Fragrance World, the differences are couple of them, right? Now here the musky element is also a little more pronounced like the OG, so there is that musky opening which is pretty nice. Here the musky element is lighter. So in fact, I would say in the L'InFinite Fragrance World, everything is lighter, okay, toned down compared to what is in Chakra. In Chakra, everything is amped up. So if you look at it from a volume point of view, like a speaker volume point of view, if this is running at 10, this runs at about 8.5. Okay, so it's a little lower in every element. So the citrus elements are also very prominent here. The musky element is prominent. The initial opening, which is like 2.5 feet, is also a little higher that way as well. But one element that's missing even in the Chakra is the part where the watery notes happens, which the transition that happens on this particular fragrance in the original, where you have this watery notes, that is kind of missing in Chakra as well, right? So both of them kind of miss that way, but other than that, both of them are pretty alike in terms of the scent profile and performance. Also in terms of lasting, I would say pretty much the same. The only difference that I felt is Chakra is slightly more louder than L'InFinite. Okay, that is the only difference that I find, and both of them do miss out on the watery notes that is there on the original. Okay, now that is the biggest difference that I can kind of find through the scent profile and in terms of loudness. But if you're looking for a nice citrusy fragrance which has got a good musky element along with that green aromatic vibes that you want, along with ambroxan and amber kind of a vibe, this is a fantastic fragrance to go for. Okay, now in terms of pricing, I think the the Chakra from Centredelic costs about 1500 rupees or so, roughly for the 50 ml, whereas I think this was about 1600 to 1800 rupees, I think was what I paid for an entire 100 ml of this one. And just like Grandiose Soaked Sun, if you look at from a bottle, you get a very, very good looking bottle. The presentation is nice, feels nice, and it's a nice nice citrusy fragrance that you can definitely consider for summer. One, office use, very nice. Close encounters, that is, in case you're going for a date, or in case you're going out with your spouse or something like that, you want a light fragrance, especially if the partner doesn't like loud strong fragrances. Apt fragrance, this is very, very good. Another is if you're traveling in a car, or with your family, and you're going on a long drive or something, you want a fragrance that's not overpowering everybody's noses, but at the same time gives you a nice freshness, gives you a nice muskiness, nice citrusy vibe, then definitely yes, all of those elements are ticked, right? If I look at the con or the flip side of it, is what I would say is the only thing that I noticed is that when you take it out of the box and try to put it on, you get lower performance. So you might think that, in fact, I did get a couple of comments from a couple of people who have had this, who said that I think it's very, very light. It's like as if it goes off in the air within 30-40 minutes time. That is the same thing that I felt when I opened the box initially, but now when I try the fragrances, I definitely get about 3.5 to 4 hours. Although I would say that even on apparel, it's a little bit of a soft scent. It's a skin close scent, so don't really expect loud beast mode kind of a fragrance. This is not the case. In fact, this and Afternoon Swim, which is Soaked Sun, both are kind of skin close fragrances that way, right? So it makes for very good value for money, especially when you consider 100 ml, good presentation, okay, good juice and a good blend. No alcohol blast and not that synthetic vibe at all. The only thing, like I said, is if the OG is running at 10 dB in terms of the volume, probably Centredelic is doing about 9.5, 9. This is doing about 8.5 to 8. Okay, so that is slightly lower in terms of the projection, the loudness, and all of that. But this is being a soft scent, it will be perfect for your office wear, closer encounters, all of that, right? So that is what I thought about this particular fragrance. And we are going to offer, so ThePerfumeExperience is going to offer decants very soon. So this is another fragrance that you will be able to find on decants for very good prices. In case you would be interested in getting the decant and the partial of this particular fragrance as well, you can DM on the number that's going to be given on the screen or in the description below. We are going to launch a lot of the decants that basically that I review or that I kind of get for consumption. I will be decanting that as soon as possible, right? So that has been my review about this beautiful fragrance from the house of Fragrance World called L'InFinite Jacques Yves, okay, which is an alternative of Louis Vuitton's L'Infinite, and luckily I have the OG as well. So I can tell you that in summary, this is about 85 to 88% close. Misses on the watery mark, part of the fragrance, misses slightly on the musky part, but otherwise in general it's a citrusy, musky, aromatic green type of a fragrance that you can add to your collection of summer fragrances. So if you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe and share. You're watching The Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Until another time, take care. Bye now.